anyone, by the way, any viewers, if they feel like they have something they want to chime in on the questions, be sure to do that too. I'm always curious to what they might think of any of these questions. Okay, so the next one comes from Chad Sherlock, and he asks, how has your collecting mentality evolved or changed over the course of its entirety? I've recently started downsizing, putting mostly a focus on masterpiece scale and quality over quantity. So hit that one up.
All right. So I know, like, when I was a kid, you try to get the biggest bang for your buck, but then if that fails, then you're like, well, I can get these 4 for a smaller price. You know what I mean? So, like, as opposed to, like, let's say, I guess around the time when I started noticing Transformers and getting into it, like, oh look, there's a Power Master Optimus Prime, which is just one giant toy, versus a 4-pack of Mini-Cons. Micromasters, excuse me. So, like, as I'm getting older, or when I started really getting into collecting, I used to go, like, straight up deluxe only, because that was just easier. They were nice, they were articulated, you could display them very easily.
A uniform scale.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone kind of works with everyone usually. And I usually liked scout classes as well, because you would get different characters that weren't from the main story usually, and they just looked really good, and they were super articulated as well. So normally I would just kind of get those en masse, but currently I try to kind of keep it to masterpieces and third-party kind of combiners or third-party masterpieces themselves. Maybe some leader class stuff from the main line I'll try and pick up, because I know, like, probably one of the last mainline stuff I picked up was what's his name? Skyfire? Is it Skyfire?
Well, you're talking about the Jetfire leader class?
Jetfire, Jetfire, excuse me. I think that was like the last
mainline thing you got?
Yeah, I think so.
Everything else has been like masterpiece third party, more or less, eh?
Yeah, it has been, pretty much.
Well, and you know what, though? That's not surprising, because just like even Chad Sherlock here, that a lot of people have been going that route. A lot of people have just been going, if I'm going to put money into Transformers, it's going to be the best of the best. And that's, third party. People might, I might have my opinions, but the engineering is incredible. And so you get some really good engineered Transformers out of third party, and masterpiece is masterpiece. The name goes with the reputation. So it's a given that for you, especially you in your case, where limited shelf space, limited space in general, you want to get the best display, best bang for your buck. So you obviously go with the best of the best, which I don't disagree with that mentality. If I was in a similar situation, I would also definitely go, well, fuck, I'd just go masterpiece. You know what I mean? And every masterpiece toy, in my opinion, even on a shitty day, a masterpiece is still an 8 out of 10 toy. And to me, I'm trying to think, what is that 8 out of 10? Maybe.
And I think also another factor is just characters that I like.
Yes, of course.
Because I know I would say my first combiner that I dug a lot was the Protector bots, basically.
Defensor.
Because I used to watch the Return of Optimus Prime. Like, I had the VHS for Part 1 and Part 2. And I'd watch that over and over and over and over and over as a kid. So as soon as he turned into Defensor, I was like, oh, Defensor looks super cool, and he's made out of all these rescue vehicles.
He's always been my favorite, too. Always. Him and Road Caesar, always my two favorite combiners, always.
And what's weird is because I remember they had the Combaticons, and you'd see Bruticus, and he looked super cool, but he didn't really do much in that episode, those 2 episodes. He just kind of stood there, got shot, and was part of the hate crime. The hate
plague.
The hate plague was all over him, so not much really. And he broke through a wall. I remember that. But he broke through a wall. What was super confusing to me was that his scaling was off sometimes.
Oh well, that was season 3. Season 3 was a mess. Thank you, Nelson Shin and Acom
man.
Productions, season 3, man. Jeez.
But it's usually me. With me, it's more so characters, or just like as it is with most of us, timing. If you can get it, get it. If you can't get it, then sit on it for a while, and when you see an opening to get it, then that's when you jump in. That's when you pounce.
Yeah, well, and especially like even in my case, like as crazy. Like I mean, I'm such a terrible example because I was literally up until about I'd have to say 2010. I was a 100% completist, which was just I had everything and anything that just had that goddamn TF logo on it. And I mean, we're talking, man, you look at my movie display and you just go, what the F? Like why is there fast action battlers, every single one of them? Why is there why is there like power core combiner?
I remember I was like, dude, I think you should stop. You're like, no, I can't. And you sounded distraught. Like you're like,
you know
what?
And I made this and it was around 2010 that it just hit me where it's just like, you know what? Screw this. It was going into Dark of the Moon. Like, it was the end of Revenge of the Fallen going into Dark of the Moon, just going like, you know what? Screw it. They're making toys for the sake of making toys, not for them to be... Because, again, when I was a completist, it also stemmed from a time when you got that one Rhinox toy.
Yeah.
That was the one Rhinox toy. So being a completist wasn't so much a big deal because you were, if anything, you were getting all the characters. And then going into the Unicron trilogy, if you did get a repaint, it was either... a new character, or it was an upgrade of that character. They would try to justify the repaint.
Right.
But you never really had just, toys being released just to be toys, like, just to like fill the gap. But then going off of, animated was finished, animated being a very short and small line that, too little figures in my opinion. There should have been more. Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, animated 2008, 2009, 2010, 2009, Revenge of the Fallen, the peak, in my opinion, of the popularity of the Transformer line, of the movie stuff. I'm not saying in terms of it being good, I'm saying in terms of just popularity. They were just pumping out anything. And as a result, you just had like every scale of every character to the point that's like, do you really need a Voyager? Three. I'm being like nice here. Like just like you could take any character and then take any scale, and there's like 5 of them. It's like, okay, Optimus Prime, Voyager, and it's like, boom, there's 5 of them, and they all look more or less the same, minus like little paint issues. And then you go Bumblebee Deluxe, boom, there's like then you could go like,
my goodness,
Ironhide Legends, boom, there's like at least like 7 of them. Like it would get to the point that you're just buying for a completist sake, not for actually like having representations of the character during a story point or something. And that was something that I hated, where it's like you would have like 17 different legend scale Ironhides, all of them with minor paint tweaks, and none of them are even related to a story. It's not like he's battle damage from a specific scene. No, it's just, here he is with frosted wheels. Was he ever in the snow? Fuck no. But here he is with frosted windows. Here he is with what was it called? Allspark Power blue repaint pieces, which is like, when did that ever happen?
Here's the old school Bumblebee, like the old Camaro, and then stealth mode for that Camaro,
stealth mode for when
for that Camaro.
Exactly, when it never happened. So to me it got to that point because even in the Unicron trilogy, when repaints were rampant, at least when the repaints did happen, they were either story related, like this hotshot is now silver and red because in the show he got, Allspark upgraded to silver and red. Oh, and by the way, if there is another repaint here, it's a new character. The movie line really burned me. It just burned me completely, where it was just like, forget it. I don't need like 50,000 repaints of the same character. Like, you'll have like Mudflap, then Tuner Mudflap, which is like Mudflap with a little bit more mud on him, which is just like, why? So that's when I hit that wall, and I was just like, I'm going to pick and choose. I'm really going to pick and choose. And the picking and choosing came from, I'm going to focus just on the classics line, more or less, because those are all iconic characters, and more or less they were not guilty of the same thing that the Movieverse was doing. We weren't going to get 50,000 Starscreams, and if we did get a new Starscream, it usually was a new design, or it was like, based off of an IDW design, or it was a repaint, or they gave you a reason to want to buy it again. It wasn't just from a completist mentality. And I mean, they're very strict with one character per release, because I mean, we've still been waiting for a new Galvatron. Oh, now we have one coming from the Titan Wars line, but I mean, for the longest time we just had that one deluxe Galvatron toy. So the Classics line was something, the Classics Generation Universe 2.0, whatever you want to label it as, Reveal the Shield. That line really stuck to me, so I was a completist on that. I got all the Masterpiece toys, and anything that was mainline, like the Transformers Prime series, I would get everything to a degree. Obviously, like I said, when something started to just seem silly, if there was a repaint that just had no purpose whatsoever, then I wouldn't get it. So even me, who was a heavy completist, still was being picky and choosy, but that was like post-2010. Also because, hey, bought a house, new expenses come in life. Before, when I was a completist, I had no problem dropping $2,000 on Minerva. Lived with my parents.
Yeah.
Had a really good paycheck, but lived with my parents. Which means that, even if you're someone who works minimum wage, if you work minimum wage, that means you work like Monday to Friday, you're making $500 every 2 weeks. But if you live with your parents and you're working minimum wage, 100% of that $500 you could do whatever the hell you want with, no worries. There will be food in the fridge, the internet will still be running, and the house will still be heated. But if you don't live with your parents, you own a house now, you have a mortgage. Now you have to be an adult. You can't take, and here's the thing, I was living with my parents with a BMW mechanic paycheck, so I was being ridiculous. I was going like, you know what? Mint and Box Star Convoy, Diatlas, Prototype.
You're just a weirdo.
I was just going, crazy at and that was like 2008, 2009, where
you're a mad weirdo.
I was dropping insane coin, but now have my own place, have my castle, mortgages come, you got to pay for, for heating, for gas bill, you got to pay for the gas bill for your car, for groceries and stuff. Now you can't go balls to the wall and buy every repaint of, Robots in Disguise Bumblebee and every Creo and
every little nonsense thing.
Well, let's put it. There's been a lot of sublines that, given if it was a different time, I would have went all in on. Case in point, Constructabots. If Constructabots would have came out 7 years ago, I would have bought all of them. Build to Rule, which was like the Lego building kind of line that existed back during the Armada days. I have all of those, but that was a different time. Mind you, there wasn't a lot of them, so thank God. But same thing with those pop vinyls, whatever they're called there. Oh my God, what are they called there? Those future what are they called there?
The pop vinyls?
Is it called pop vinyl? Those Beanie Babies of the future, as I call them. There's Transformer ones of those, of the movie ones. I don't touch them. There's just certain things. I've kind of put this very strict mentality now when it comes, especially when it comes to
Mighty Mugs. No,
not Mighty Mugs.
Then it's pop vinyls.
Mighty Mugs
or Funko.
Mighty
Pop
Mugs
vinyls
came out during a time when I did have that disposable income, and I bought them all. I bought all the Mighty Mugs. Now my rule is, if it's not G1, if it's not Beast Wars, if it's not Beast Machines, reached that point where I just got super picky, and I was just like, you know what? Only G1, only Beast Wars related stuff, and if it's something that's mainline or movie, it's got to be something that's give you an example. I watched the RID cartoon, the new one, RID 2.0, and I go, okay, I enjoy these characters and this main crew, and so I'll buy just those specific figures. I'm not going to buy the legend scale of them, the one flip changers, all the variants. I'm just going to buy the deluxe like the best representation of each character to have the main cast. So the deluxe Strong Arm, the deluxe Bumblebee, and then looking at the Decepticons and going, well, there's limited releases of them, so I gotta just pick whatever exists of them. Like being very picky, where before I used to just clear the whole peg. I'd just be like, I'm gonna take everything. I'll just get one of all of these things. So I've been very picky with that, and Movieverse even more so. Movieverse, it's like unless there's a design I really like, or if the toy is on ridiculous clearance, which I've seen many times now with these Movieverse toys, I won't touch them at all. Like I think the only time I've bought like I was very lucky with Age of Extinction because I got a lot of those toys for free. So, but when I look at it, I'm like, wow! If I wouldn't have gotten those toys for free, most of these I would not have. Right. I would have not bought that ridiculously overpriced Leader Optimus. That was I think he was like $70. That ugly chrome movie one there. Ugh.
Right.
Remember we talked about it in the past? Like, I mean, that kind of stuff I would have never touched. Where a couple years ago, I probably would have, so
balls deep in it.
Yeah, I would. No, totally, and that's the scary thing is that but now
because when I think about back to those days, like I imagine like you go into a room, you have your own room, and then it'd just be littered with toys, and you'd basically jump and dive in and be like Scrooge McDuck, like toys.
Oh God! Well, that was like for people who knew like how my collection was back in the day. By the time Revenge of the Fallen rolled around, you couldn't keep up anymore in terms of space. That's a part of the reason also why I wanted to buy my own place anyways. It was eventual, but it just also I was running out of space. What's the point of buying toys to keep them in the package to put them into storage?
Yeah, exactly.
It's literal insanity to do something like that. You might as well not buy the toys at all and then wait a couple years and then buy them when they're cheap when you actually have the time to open and display them. Yeah. I mean that goes for a whole other topic, but it reached that point where even me as a completist, I had to dial it back and put my money into where I feel were good. Now, I wouldn't say good investments, but good purchases. Good stuff. Master Beast toys, I have yet to be disappointed. Like I said, at its worst, it's an 8 out of 10. Which is still very good, where there's been plenty of movie toys that I was very disappointed in, and the sad thing is opening them and going, wow, and I paid full price for these.
Exactly.
There was a lot of Revenge of the Fallen toys that stayed mint in package, and I did not open them until like 2-3 years later. They went into storage, and then I opened them and going like, my God, what a piece of crap, Like, I paid like $14.99 plus tax on my hard-earned money. And this is something I'm always going to emphasize to people. This is very important. It's a very, very heavy-handed statement I'm going to say here. But when you buy toys, you're not buying it with money. You're buying it with your time. Meaning that the time that you spent at work, the hours that you spent at work. So I always say, when you buy stuff, make it count. Make it count. That's why I'm always a little frugal when it comes to purchasing Transformers now, especially. And I always say, wait. And anyone who's been to my panels, make it count. Make it that if you're going to drop $70 on something, make sure it was worth that $70.
Exactly.
Where people who bought again that Age of Extinction Leader Optimus for $70, man, $70. If you worked minimum wage, that's like a day of work. That's like 8 hours of your life that you'll never get back. That you spent for that shitty ass fucking dollar store looking toy. So yeah, either way, I've downsized, not downsized, but I've dialed it back in terms of purchases. Now, even with the new Combiner Wars stuff, because Combiner Wars has been so expensive for Canadians. A single deluxe toy is after taxes almost $25. So it's gone to the point that it's priced itself out. That to me, I rather just wait. Because I know there's going to be tons of people that do go all in on this stuff, and then they're on the buy, sell, trade forums. Hey, anyone want a complete Defensor for, I'll do 60 shipped?
Yeah, exactly.
Where if I would have bought Defensor myself at Toys R Us, it would have been like 150. So, I'm playing it safe now. I'm going to spend my money where I feel it's worth it to spend the money, which is when I go to BotCon, when I buy exclusives, when I buy Masterpiece toys, and the odd here and there at retail that does interest me. But in general, I wait it out, and it all boomerangs back to me later, and I save money.